So here's a really cool tip for using Owlbear Rodeo that I like. Let me show something I did before, which was how you can mimic torchlight. So I'm running the Shadow Dark RPG. Shadow Dark RPG is very, very big on torchlight. And what you can do is you can create a shape, a fog shape like this one, and have it be about 30 feet out. You could use the little distance tool if you want to say like how far is it, and say, yeah, it's about a 30-foot range on that. And you can move it around, of course. But the interesting thing is you can attach it, because the character is the one carrying the torch, you can attach it. So what you do is you select the box, and then down here is a little attach, or you can hit A, but you can click the attach link, which links it. And then you tie it to a token, like the druid. And now when you're on the selector and you move the druid, it moves the light around. But one of the problems people noticed, and you can already see what my solution is, one of the things that people noticed is like, well, that means the character can go up to a doorway and see what's beyond the door without having opened it. Or they could like be in this room and they could look down and go, oh, look, there's a stairwell down to the lower right. Because if you move the fog, right, you can see that when they are viewing things, they can see stuff that they shouldn't see, right? They can kind of go into areas and oh, look, there's a room below us, right? They can see that stuff. And so what people had been doing is there are plugins, I think, and there are ways to sort of do the outline so that the lighting won't go through a wall. But I have a much easier trick for that. And that's you just make another shape. So when you don't want people to be able to see through an area, you go down to your draw tool, you select black as your color because you just want it to appear black. You click rectangle and you draw a rectangle. You can make it any size you want. It doesn't have to be perfect. And the neat thing is now you have this rectangle, you can move around and block stuff, and you can highlight exactly what you want. You can also make the rectangle, if you're like, oh, I need it bigger, you can make it bigger. If you want to make it smaller, you can make it smaller. If you need to get really crafty, you can make multiple rectangles, but typically you don't, because the thing is only 30 feet big. So as long as your rectangle is slightly bigger than their view box, then what you see when you go to the fog version is now they can't see through the area. They can move around and they can look, but they're only seeing, and you go, oh, well, what about that, right? And you just go back to your rectangle and you just move the rectangle around to block whatever their sight is, so they can't quite see what's going on beneath. You don't have to make a bunch of rectangles. You don't have to spend a whole lot of time setting all the walls of the entire dungeon, which takes forever, right? That whole idea of like dynamic lighting takes forever. And instead, you could just draw little boxes and block out the area that you don't want to see. And as you can see, like I have a couple of them that I've put out, so I can just easily use multiple boxes to kind of block the area that they can see. And that way, when they're actually moving around, when the players are moving around, they will only see the stuff that they are supposed to see and not anything else. So really easy trick, very fast, doesn't take a lot of time. You don't have to go through the whole trouble of like blocking out an entire dungeon, putting lines around everything to make sure that the fog of war only shows what you can. Instead, it's very fast, you can do it during the game itself. You don't have to do a lot of prep ahead of time. So I really like that trick, and I hope that helps you better enjoy your time with Owlbear Rodeo. If you like this show and you like the stuff that I do, the best way to learn about all of the things that I do is to subscribe to the Sly Flourish newsletter. It is absolutely free to sign up, and you get immediately get an adventure generator PDF sent directly to your inbox. And every week you will get an RPG-related email with tips and tricks for running your games, but also links to all of the other things that I do. They're all linked in each of those weekly newsletters. It's a great way to see all of the stuff that I do. You can also support me directly on Patreon. Patrons get access to Uncovered Secrets Volume 1 and 2, a dedicated Discord server, the monthly Q&A, a whole bunch of tools, tips, tricks, adventures, and things that you can run to make your game awesome. And you help me put on shows like this. And you can pick up any of my books, including Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, The Lazy DM's Companion, The Lazy DM's Workbook, Forge of Foes, and all 4 Fantastic Adventures books, all available on the Sly Flourish bookstore. Links to those are in the show notes. Thank you all so much. Have a great day, and get out there and play an RPG.